What would you do if a homeless kid with an afro and worn-out sneakers claimed he could heal your son? And what if he was right? Well, it was cold that morning in New York City. Not cold enough to freeze the Hudson, but the kind that made your breath fog and your ears burn. People rushed in and out of the Children's Rehabilitation Hospital on Madison Avenue, wrapped in designer coats, gripping Starbucks cups, moving fast like they could escape whatever tragedy brought them there. But one person wasn't moving. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and comment where you're watching from, whether you're in Australia, Canada, the United States, Africa, the UK, or anywhere across Europe. I want to see how far this story of hope and healing can reach. I bring you powerful, moving stories every single day, and trust me, you don't want to miss tomorrow's tale. But right now, let me share what happened when a desperate father met a homeless boy with an impossible promise. A story that proves miracles still happen when we dare to hope. Let's begin. Kelvin Floyd, a 10-year-old homeless boy, sat on a flattened cardboard near the glass entrance. Brown hoodie, broken zipper, thick afro pushing out from beneath the hood. Scuffed sneakers, one sole peeling away. No sign. No cup. Just watching. He'd been there most weekends for 3 months. Security had given up trying to move him. He didn't cause trouble, didn't beg. Just watched. Always watching. Across the parking lot, a black Mercedes SUV idled near the disabled spaces. Inside sat Andrew Owens, late 40s, sharp cheekbones, gray-tailored suit, burgundy tie loosened at the neck. He had money. You could see it in the gleaming leather, the glowing dashboard. But he looked like a man who'd lost something money couldn't buy. In the back seat sat his son, Brian. 8 years old. Light brown hair, colorful floral shirt under a navy blazer, strapped into a custom wheelchair harness. Eyes distant, staring at nothing. The accident had stolen everything. 1 minute Brian was kicking a soccer ball, laughing with friends. The next doctor said he'd never walk again. Spine damaged beyond repair. Accept it. Andrew lowered the ramp, unlatched the wheelchair. No words. Silence had become their language. He pushed Brian toward the entrance, shoulders tight, eyes fixed ahead. He didn't notice Kelvin. But Kelvin noticed him. The white knuckle grip on the wheelchair handles. Brian's eyes locked on the pavement. The suffocating silence between father and son. Just before they reached the entrance, Kelvin stood. "Sir." Andrew didn't stop. "Sir, I can make your son walk again." Andrew froze mid-step. Not because he believed it, but because he couldn't believe someone would say it. Andrew had walked right past him, pushing Brian's wheelchair through the hospital's revolving doors without acknowledging the homeless boy's words. Everyone had a miracle to sell when you were desperate enough to buy. But the boy's promise followed him: "I can make your son walk again." Dr. Patricia Nguyen delivered the same verdict she'd given for 14 months. The MRI showed no improvement, no nerve activity below L2. Brian is never going to walk again. The sooner you both accept that reality, the sooner you can focus on giving him the best quality of life possible. Andrew sat in his SUV, hands gripping the steering wheel, staring at the hospital entrance. Without understanding why, he circled back to the parking lot. The cardboard box was still there. So was Kelvin. The boy stood, brushing dirt off his jeans. "Yes, sir. I know I can help him." Kelvin explained that his mother, Lorraine Floyd, had been a physical therapist at the VA hospital for 12 years, helping veterans the doctors had given up on. She'd taught him everything before she died. He pulled out a battered notebook. "This was my mama's. She wrote down everything. Every technique. Every veteran she helped walk again. I'm not asking for money. Just 1 hour. 1 session. If it doesn't work, you never see me again." It was insane. But Andrew was out of options, out of hope, out of everything except crushing guilt from the accident. The day he'd been driving too fast, distracted by a work call, and didn't see the truck run the red light. 1 hour. That's it. Riverside Park. Tomorrow morning. 9 o'clock. As they drove home, Brian asked, "Who was that, Dad?" Andrew's throat felt thick. "Nobody, Brian. Just nobody." But for the first time in 14 months, something flickered in his chest that felt dangerously close to hope. Riverside Park at 9 in the morning was nearly empty. Andrew had barely slept, questioning his sanity, wondering if Kelvin would show up. But Kelvin was already there, sitting cross-legged on a blanket beneath the oak tree, a worn duffel bag beside him. "Morning, Mr. Owens." "Morning, Brian." Andrew crossed his arms. "You've got 1 hour." Kelvin knelt in front of Brian, eye level. "Hey, Brian. My name's Kelvin. Who's your favorite superhero?" "Spider-Man." "Spider-Man never gave up. Even when things got hard. Just like you." For the first time in months, something shifted in Brian's face. Kelvin pulled out warm towels, oil, and his mother's notebook. He draped the warm towels over Brian's legs, then began massaging his calves with practiced precision, following diagrams from the notebook. Andrew expected gimmicks. But Kelvin worked with confidence, explaining everything, asking Brian how it felt. And he talked to Brian, really talked to him. Not like a patient. Like a person. During a gentle stretch, Brian laughed. That tickled. Kelvin's eyes lit up. "That means you felt it." The sound of Brian's laughter cut through Andrew like lightning. He hadn't heard it in over a year. When the hour ended, Andrew pulled out $200 bills. Kelvin shook his head. "Not yet, sir. Let's see if it works first. Then we can talk about that." Andrew stood there, stunned by this kid who just refused $200. "Same time next week." Andrew glanced at Brian, who was still smiling. "Yeah, same time." By the third session, Andrew arrived early. Brian was already more comfortable, greeting Kelvin with a small wave. As Kelvin worked, Brian asked, "Kelvin, where'd you learn all this?" "My mama. Lorraine Floyd. She worked at the VA hospital, helping soldiers who came back from war broken. She'd say, 'The body remembers, even when the mind forgets.'" "Where is she now?" Kelvin's jaw tightened. "She passed 2 years ago. Cancer took her real fast. But she taught me everything before she left. Made me promise I'd keep helping people." During a hip flexor stretch, Brian gasped. "My leg. It moved. Like a twitch." "Do it again. Try to squeeze the muscle I'm touching." Brian's thigh twitched again, visibly this time. Andrew's heart hammered. "Your body's waking up, just like my mama said it would." By session's end, Brian reported feeling pressure in his left big toe. Tiny movements. Micro progress. But progress nonetheless. That night, Andrew searched online, Lorraine Floyd, Virginia Hospital physical therapist. The obituary appeared. A memorial. A news article about her passing, showing a woman with kind eyes and Kelvin's smile, standing beside a veteran she'd helped. The article detailed her decorated career, 15 commendations, testimonials calling her a miracle worker who never gave up. Andrew stared at the screen. The kid wasn't lying. His mother was real. Her work was real. For the first time, Andrew's skepticism didn't just crack. It shattered. The fourth session started wrong. Brian was quiet, his hands balled into fists. "I don't want to do this today." "That's okay. We can just talk if you want." "None of this is working. I'm never going to walk. Everyone keeps pretending like I will, but I won't. I'm stuck like this forever." Kelvin sat cross-legged, eye level with Brian. "You're right to be frustrated. This is hard. Real hard. Then why are we even trying? The doctors said I'll never walk again. Because I've seen it happen before. And because giving up is easier than fighting, but it don't make you feel any better. You don't understand. You can walk. You don't know what it's like. Kelvin was quiet for a long moment. You're right. I don't know what it's like to lose my legs. But I know what it's like to lose something you can't get back. I lost my mama. When she died, I didn't want to get up neither. Just wanted to disappear. Brian's tears slowed. He was listening. My mama told me, baby, the world's gonna hurt you. It's gonna take things from you. But people need you anyway. So you keep going. That's why I'm here, Brian. Because you need me. And I need you too. We're helping each other. Brian wiped his eyes. What if it doesn't work? Then we tried. And that's more than most people do. Kelvin didn't push exercises. He just sat there with Brian, talking quietly about his mother, about loss, about hope. By the hour's end, Brian's tears had dried. He looked at Kelvin. Same time next week. Kelvin smiled. Same time, Spider-Man. Something had shifted. Not in Brian's legs. In his heart. The fifth session began with renewed determination. Brian was focused, like he'd made a decision overnight. Kelvin positioned Brian's right leg. When I count to 3, I want you to think about bending your knee. Don't force it. Just think about it. 1, 2, 3. Brian's face scrunched in concentration. And then his knee bent. Not much. Maybe 2 inches. But it bent. Deliberately. Unmistakably. Andrew's coffee cup slipped from his hand, spilling across the pavement. Oh my God. Good, Brian. Real good. Now do it again. Brian's knee bent again. This time maybe 3 inches. This wasn't a twitch. This was control. Voluntary movement. Impossible movement. Dad, did you see? Andrew dropped to his knees beside the wheelchair, grabbing Brian's hand. I saw it, buddy. I saw it. For 20 minutes, Brian practiced. Some attempts worked. Some didn't. But the ones that worked were undeniable. When the session ended, Andrew approached Kelvin, hands shaking. You've been sleeping on the streets. Living out of that duffel bag. Come stay with us. We have a guest room. Kelvin's face went still. Mr. Owens, I can't. Yes, you can. Please. Let me do this. For what you've done for Brian. Kelvin looked down at his worn sneakers, at the duffel bag that held everything he owned. When he looked up, his eyes were wet. Okay. Okay. Kelvin stood in the doorway of the guest room, staring at the queen-sized bed. Is this for me? All yours. Make yourself at home. I ain't never had my own room before. From down the hall, Brian's voice rang out. Kelvin, come see my room. I got a PlayStation. Over the next 2 weeks, a routine formed. Kelvin woke Brian every morning for stretches before school. After school, they'd do another session in the living room. Dinner became something Andrew looked forward to, the 3 of them talking, laughing. One night, Andrew found Kelvin in the kitchen past midnight. Can't sleep. Still getting used to the bed. Too soft. They sat at the counter in comfortable silence. Thank you for everything you're doing, Andrew said. You gave me a home, Mr. Owens. First one I've had since my mama passed. We're even. Andrew squeezed the boy's shoulder. No. We're family. Kelvin's eyes went glassy, but he smiled. The house felt alive again. And for the first time since the accident, Andrew wasn't just surviving. He was living. It started with Patricia Chen approaching Andrew at Riverside Park. Her 7-year-old daughter Maya, who had cerebral palsy, sat in a wheelchair beside her. "I saw your son 3 weeks ago. He couldn't move his legs. And now, how?" Andrew gestured to Kelvin. "That boy. He's been helping Brian with physical therapy techniques his mother taught him. Would he consider helping Maya?" By the end of that session, Maya had felt sensation in her ankle for the first time in months. The next week, 3 more families showed up. The week after, 7. Andrew sat Kelvin down. "These families need help. What if we made this official? A free community therapy program. I'll fund it. We'll get licensed physical therapists to learn from you. You'd be the lead therapist. You'd do that. I'd do anything to make sure what you've done for Brian reaches every kid who needs it." Within a month, the Lorraine Floyd Movement Project launched. Andrew rented a community center, hired 3 licensed therapists, and opened registration. 20 children showed up the first week. 40 the second. A local news station aired a segment, "Homeless Boy Becomes Miracle Healer." They showed footage of Brian walking short distances with assistance. They interviewed parents who wept with gratitude. The next morning, Andrew's phone didn't stop ringing. Families from across the state wanted to enroll. Donations poured in. A pediatric hospital offered partnership. What had started as one desperate father and one homeless boy had become a movement. The 10th Sunday arrived with perfect weather. Riverside Park was crowded. 40 families gathered. Word had spread about today. Brian's big attempt. Kelvin had prepared makeshift parallel bars in the center of the gathering. Andrew pushed Brian's wheelchair to the bars, hands trembling. Brian wore his favorite colorful floral shirt. "You ready, Spider-Man?" "I'm ready." The crowd quieted. Kelvin and Andrew helped Brian stand, supporting each side. Brian's hands gripped the parallel bars, knuckles white. Slowly, Kelvin stepped back. Then Andrew. Brian stood alone, legs trembling, arms locked on the bars. "Now walk to me," Kelvin said, positioning himself 4 feet away. Just 4 steps. Brian's right foot lifted, barely an inch, and shuffled forward. The crowd gasped. Then his left foot. Another shuffle. "That's 2. 2 more, Brian." Brian's whole body shook. But his right foot moved again. Then his left. 4 steps. 4 impossible, miraculous, life-changing steps. Then his legs gave out. Andrew caught Brian, pulling him into his arms. The park exploded in applause, cheers, tears. Andrew sobbed into Brian's shoulder. "You did it. Oh God, Brian, you did it." "I walked, Dad. I walked." Later that evening, Andrew found Kelvin in the kitchen. He pulled out an envelope. "There's a check in there for $250,000. Kelvin stared at it, but didn't touch it. "Mr. Owens, I can't." "Yes, you can. You've earned it." Kelvin shook his head. "I didn't do this for money. I just wanted to stop being invisible. I wanted to matter. I wanted someone to see me." Andrew's vision blurred. He tore the envelope in half. "You'll never be invisible again, Kelvin. Not to me. Not to Brian. Not to anyone. You're not a charity case. You're not a guest. You're family now. Family." Kelvin buried his face in Andrew's shoulder and wept. 2 weeks later, Andrew stood on the back porch, watching the sunrise. In the yard, Brian walked slowly but steadily across the grass, Kelvin beside him, cheering him on with every step. Andrew smiled, finally at peace with himself, with his son, with the impossible miracle that had walked into his life on a cold November morning. Sometimes the smallest voices carry the greatest miracles. This story reminds us that hope can come from the most unexpected places, and that kindness has the power to transform lives. Just like Kelvin refused to let Brian stay invisible, You can make someone's day brighter by sharing this story with someone who needs to hear it. If you believe in the power of second chances and the miracles that happen when we open our hearts, hit that subscribe button and join our community of believers. Share this story with someone who needs hope today. You never know whose life you might touch. Thank you for watching. See you in the next story.